Uh-oh. Did I go dead? Oh, okay. Oh, that's where I'm getting that sound from. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Welcome to the show, Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network, here at the Texas Real Estate Investment Center. So for those of you here in Texas, I'll see you on Tuesday night at Quest Trust here in Houston. And the following Tuesday, which I think is the 10th, in Austin. Then I'll see you guys up in Dallas. So doing a different case study each night. I'm really excited. We're going to do the beach case study Tuesday night, this Tuesday here in Houston. And then haven't decided which assets we're going to talk about in Austin and Dallas. I'm also doing an hour-long lunch and learn for Quest on how to legally raise money. There's a lot of folks. There's been some wild things that have happened in the last year, and we've seen some things where like you can't raise money like that, right? That's completely illegal. So, anyways, we're going to do a whole hour-long talk. If you go to Quest Trust, I can't remember what their website is. Just search for Quest Trust in the old Google. It'll pop right up, and then there's a tab that says events. It's either education and events, and then you can just click on the city and it'll pop up. The Austin one, the Lunch and Learn for Austin, will be simulcast online, so you guys will be able to watch from anywhere. But how to raise money legally, it's one of our favorite topics, and we were rolling it out before COVID, and things just got too busy and hectic, and so we hadn't really talked about it much. But it's one of these big things that Rob and I see all the time. These investors are raising money, and they're doing it, and they're doing it in a way that's not legal. So it'll be a fun presentation. So, all right, today we're going to talk about life is not life. It's interesting to me that I get questions all the time. Hey, Jason, this past weekend, I was out this weekend, had a great Friday, I've been out. I think I've gone out every night just because random people, buddies of mine will send me a text, say, hey man, we're over here if you want to come meet us. I'm like, okay, I'll go. So we end up out there and, at some bar, club, just hanging out, having a good time. And this past Friday, we went out again Saturday. And then I got a text from a buddy of mine on Sunday. He's like, hey, let's do a little Sunday fun day. Meet us here. So went out to a bar, hooked up with a buddy of mine, and I'll just call him Bob for right now. Bob and I have been going back and forth on opening a bar, restaurant, club. He's from that industry and got some really interesting ideas. And so, in any case, we're going to hook back up here this week. But we keep flirting with this thing, and we've got some great ideas. And of course, we were out, taking notes of all the other establishments around town, and really believe there's an opportunity there. But one of the questions a friend of his had is he said, "Hey, Jason, what do you invest in? Like apartments, like single family?" And I said, I invest in multifamily real estate. I invest in single-family real estate. I got Airbnbs and short-term rentals for workforce housing. I've got all kinds of stuff. And he said, well, which one's the best? And I said, it doesn't really matter to me. Like, I'm not looking for the best. And it seems like most people think life isn't either or. Like, they think life is, it's either this or it's that. It's either this thing or that thing, and everything is mutually exclusive. In other words, you can't mix things. You can't be a bar, restaurant, club entrepreneur and also be a real estate investor that buys self-storage, single-family, office built. Like you can't, there just seems to be this prevailing thought out there that you can't do all the above. And I'll tell you, I don't find that to be true at all. I find that you can do it all. You really can. You can do it all provided it meets your goals. But what I'm finding, I'm doing this exhaustive study and research into behavioral psychology and a little bit of sociology. But what I'm finding is some really interesting trends. And it goes back to a lot of these things. And that is, most people don't know who they are. They're still trying to figure it out. And it doesn't matter age. Like what I'm finding is most people don't know who they are. So here's where things get interesting. I work with folks from all over the country, and I have since 2016, just for real estate investing. I don't do like couples counseling or anything like that, but just real estate. And what I find is that you've got two people that may have been together or married 10, 15, 20 years, whatever it is, or 2 or 3 years. And they're still trying to figure out who each one of them are. And then in this process of self-discovery, as they're trying to figure out who each one of them are, then they've got to figure out at the same time who they are as a couple. Like, what are our goals? What are we trying to accomplish here? And then you foist on them these ideas of real estate investing and building wealth. And for us, the question really isn't your why. So you go to one of these seminars and why are you doing this? I'm doing it for my family. I want to change my future. We want to go on beach vacations and drive Lamborghinis and live in big houses. I'm like, okay, none of that stuff matters. And I can tell you right now, none of it matters to you. If all that stuff really mattered, there'd be a lot more successful people in real estate because that's kind of what everybody wants. So one of the things that Rob and I do when someone signs up for our mastermind program, actually before they sign up, they come in and meet with us and they bring their spouse. And why is that so important? Because in the process of you trying to figure out who you are and you guys trying to figure out who each other are in the context of this relationship, we want to ensure that expectations are somewhat, I don't want to say met, but expectations are clarified with regards to real estate. And then of course, the other piece is, okay, well, what are y'all's goals in building wealth and income and investing in real estate? And what amazes me is when you get outside of the typical nonsense answers, like my family and we want more money and all that, then we start to get into the heart of the matter, who you two are as a couple and who you are individually. And what I'm beginning to realize is that one of the big reasons that more people aren't successful in real estate is because they don't know who they are. And then they don't know who they are in context to the relationship they're in. And now we're adding real estate on top of it. Here's where things get serious. Most people don't have this experience. I had this experience a couple of years ago, and it just puts you in a different place. And this is that experience. When you realize you can do anything, there is a day, not everybody gets to experience it, but there's a day, at least I can tell you what it was. There was a day I realized I'm like, I can do anything. This wasn't like a Tony Robbins pump you up, like you can do anything, you can be anything you want, yay. It wasn't one of those. Just one day I just sat there and I'm like, is there anything I can't do? Given enough time, I'll find the right mentor, the right coach, the right trainer. But there is nothing I can't do. Now, here's where that gets scary. If you don't know who you are, then how do you know what you want? Because there may come a point here where you're like, man, I can't do anything. I just got to have the right folks around me, the right team, got to talk to the people who have garnered the success in the thing that I want, and I'd like to mirror that experience. You know what's funny is I have a quote sitting in my phone. We're not ghosts. You can follow our footprints. So you can see us just ahead on the trail. We're not invisible. But is that really what you want? And I think that is the hardest question to answer. Because a lot of times folks have not figured out who they are. All right, when we get back from break, I want to talk more about this. Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. All right, I think I've had my body weight in coffee. I will be right back. Okay. Welcome back, Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Today we're talking about doing everything. In fact, it's going to be the theme of a podcast we're hoping to launch probably September. It's going to be a new show, and it's not going to be real estate. I'll just tell you that. We'll talk a little bit about real estate, and I'm sure we'll have a couple of real estate guys on, but it's going to be a whole kind of different thing. And it's centered around the idea that you can do anything. But the hardest part of this whole life experience is knowing what you want. And let me explain why. From an evolutionary standpoint, this whole you can do whatever you want, you can do anything, wasn't true 100 years ago. Evolutionarily speaking, we are, essentially our bodies and our mind are thousands of years old. There's all that evolution that's taken place over time. And most of the human experience, especially outside the Western world, is just trying not to die. That's a general condition for living. Don't die. One of my favorite little t-shirt companies, they do more than just t-shirts, but that's usually what I see on Facebook. It's a motorcycle company called Go Fast, Don't Die. So a general condition for living is not dying. And that's been the human experience with exception to the last 50 to 100 years. And what's amazing is when you see people that realize, I can do anything, I can do everything, well, I don't know what I want. And you're like, well, you got to figure out what you want. And then you ask the next question, well, who are you? Rob and I are supposed to, we haven't yet, it starts next year. It might even start this year. In our operating agreement, we are supposed to take August and December off because those are usually low months for real estate and real estate education and all that stuff. It hasn't happened yet, but at some point here, it will. So then the question is, what are we going to do with 2 months of time off? I mean, we'll still work a little bit. We just won't be at the office putting on events, won't do the radio show, all that sort of stuff. Like y'all will notice, our calendar's pretty light for the month of August. Although I've heard it's getting updated and they're adding a couple more things on there. But anyways, if you go to mrtxre.com, you can see our event calendar there. So we're supposed to take these 2 months off. And so then it's like, okay, well, what do you want to do? I'm like, I'm good. Sitting on a beach for about 3 to 4 days, maybe 5. And I'm like, I got to do something else. I got to do something productive. Traveling for travel's sake to go, visit some shiny beach somewhere or visit, some cool country and hit the tourist traps. I'm good with that for a couple days. And then I'm like, I just get bored. I'm like, okay, let's go do let's experience something. This has always been my mantra for travel. Let's experience something so cool that we've got the best story at the party. Oh, yeah, you went to the Bahamas? Yeah, we went to the Bahamas. The beach is really cool. Oh, you went to Ireland? We went to Ireland, too. Did you go to this? Yeah, we all went to the same bars. It's just boring. Oh, you went to Hawaii? Yeah, we went to Hawaii. We did this and this and this and this. Oh, the same thing everybody else did when they were in Hawaii. And I'm just like, oh, my God, I just can't do it. I want to go do something cool. So, turns out I have a buddy that owns a turtle rescue in Mexico. Now, there are certain times a year, and I can't remember when the turtle breeding starts, but we're going to go down there and rescue turtles for 2 weeks. Another thing I've always wanted to do, I've always wanted to get involved with living water. I always thought that was a cool endeavor. Do that for about 2 weeks. So the idea is, at least for me, I want to have a cool story. If you guys remember, I guess it was June, so a little over 2 months ago, I was up at the border waters between Canada and Minnesota. And we did 80 miles in the canoe. And then we had some wild stories. I mean, one night I thought we were going to get killed. I mean, the lightning that rolled in on us, I thought I'm just waiting. It was hitting the trees around us. It was hitting the lakes. It was insane. We're like tucked underneath our canoe on land on the side of, it wasn't a mountain, but it was certainly a huge hill. And the lightning is just all around us, just cracking trees, hitting the lake. Our sister crew actually called Canadian and American Search and Rescue to go get us. And they were like, it's way too dangerous. Like, that's how crazy it was. Now, that makes for a good story at the party, right? That's fun. Instead of, oh, we went here and we did this. No, that's just, now, why is that important? Because I know who I am. I don't want to do the standard boring vacations. They're fine every now and then. Like, there's some places I really love in Mexico, love to go once a year. And then after that, I'm like, for a couple of days, long weekend. And I'm like, this was fun. All right, let's get back on the plane, go back to work. But you get to do those things when you know who you are. What I find fascinating and what really locks people up in real estate is they don't know what they want. They don't know who they are. So when they're out there trying to buy real estate, they're just lost. Oh, I could do apartments. I could do single family. I could do Airbnb. I could do this. I could do that. I had Haley in here for the first segment. And her and her boyfriend just bought this house in Burnett. He's a big mountain bike guy. It's close to 2 mountain bike places. He knows who he is. He's like a mountain bike guy. She's like, I want to do Airbnb. And he goes, well, if we do Airbnb, I want a close place where we could use it every now and then so I can go ride. Perfect. That's exactly how to do it. We were talking about owning some vacation rentals. I like going to the beach. I'll tell you what, I was a kind of a beach guy before, but until I owned beach houses, now I really like it. Because I go down during the week when nobody's there. It is fantastic. Especially in all you folks that travel during the summertime in Texas, God bless you, because it is 117 outside. And yeah, it's a little cooler on the beach and there's a breeze, but it is still miserably hot. I love to go down to the beach in the spring and the fall and even the winter because it does warm up enough. Our water is really hot here. This is not like Southern California. That's why we get all those hurricanes ripping through the Gulf Coast because the water's so hot. Well, one of many reasons. So I love going down starting in about September, October. October is amazing. It's cool outside. You can still get in the water. The sun feels fantastic. The weather is usually super mild. Like, it just feels great at the beach. And we don't get a ton of bookings, especially in November. We get some in December, and February is usually a low month too. So those are the perfect times to sneak down in the middle of the week. I'm an hour and 5 minutes from my beach houses in Surfside. So I literally will send a text out to friends and like, who wants to come hang out at the beach? Who wants to go skip work tomorrow or just work remotely and go hang out at the beach for 24 hours? And you usually get 2 or 3 people like, yeah, I'm totally game. Zip down there, hang out. It's a great way to keep a tan during the winter too. But through that process, I was kind of a beach guy. We bought our first one. Then I was like, oh, this is kind of cool where you can just kind of hang out down here. I kind of like this. Versus, hey, could I have bought something in Florida, Mexico, these other places? Yeah, but I wouldn't be able to enjoy it as much. And now we own a gazillion doors down there. But it all starts with knowing who you are. We get back from the break. We'll talk more about it. It's Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Okay. Welcome back, Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Like I said, I want to go back to the theme of the show. I work with a lot of people across the country, and if there's one theme I'm seeing, it's that folks don't know what they want. You don't want a Lambo, and you don't want European beach vacation. I mean, you do, but it doesn't really get you out of bed in the morning. In fact, I have found that no successful people, at least I work with, like that's the, oh yeah, I get out of bed in the morning. I'm trying to build this up so I can take my family on more vacations. Like that's not, there's something else at play here. In fact, I'll tell you this, and it comes from Jim Rohn, comes from Jordan Peterson, comes from everybody who's a serious student of success. Jim Rohn says it this way: the secret to life is growth. And then Jim would also say, you can't grow without a challenge. In fact, there's a rumor out there we may be interviewing a guy that used to work with him, which would be a fascinating interview. So the secret to life is growth, and you can't grow without a challenge. Jordan Peterson says it this way: in order for you to build a valuable life, you have to strive for more responsibility. You've got to strive for more responsibility. I have not seen anyone who's been successful long term who says, Jason, I'm really just doing this to retire and just kind of hang out at the beach somewhere. Those people don't make it. Why? Because they don't grow. You can't be successful with less responsibility. I hear this all the time. Jason, I'm going to build up this company, and then I'm going to have a bunch of people work for me, and then the company will just like run itself, and I'll just be able to hang out at the beach. I'm like, sorry, dude, not going to happen. In fact, if you really run a company, what you find is you have more responsibility. At the end of the day, who do I work for? I actually work for my employees and investors. People put up all kinds of nonsense on social media. Boss babe, I'm over here crushing it. All this utter nonsense. And what you realize when you really start building an organization, you're taking on the responsibilities of caring for all those folks and your investors. Like we got families depending on Rob and I generating revenue to take care of their families. In fact, the Greeks used to put it this way: Atlas didn't ask for a lighter load. He asked for wider shoulders. So when you study, really what the study is happiness, to be perfectly honest. What makes people happy? What brings joy and value to their lives? And it's not a beach vacation, and it's not a European vacation, and it's not owning a Lambo and a big house and all that nonsense. None of that will make you any happier. It'll be fun for a while. But real joy and happiness is striving to be better. That's the real secret here. And the problem is that if your value system, in fact, let's use a different term other than value, because values become kind of perverted with all these social media people and all that say, oh, I got to bring value, got to bring value, got to bring value. And I'm like, you don't know what value means. But it's okay, because everybody's told you something different. Let's replace value with ideal. Once you've identified what your ideals are for you and your family, then you can apply judgment to the behaviors and activities and ultimately results you're getting and see if they align with those ideals. Because if they don't align with those ideals, then those are behaviors and actions and results that you then remove from your life. But you don't get any better level of discernment by not applying judgment and ideals to the things that you're doing or not doing. So this whole idea of success being retiring on a beach is not an ideal. It doesn't work for the human condition. Lambos and a life of leisure is not a human condition that's motivating to your hindbrain. What is asking for more responsibility, asking for wider shoulders for a bigger load, asking what thing could you do to provide more value to yourself first, your family, and then the community at large. One of the reasons that we're writing all these books, and I want to make sure everyone's on the same page on this thing. First reason we're writing these books is they're what we call $4 business cards. Our books get out there. In fact, what's crazy, I want to thank everybody that's buying the book, by the way. What's wild is we have a ton of people buying 5, 10, 15 copies at a time and handing them out to people. So a big thanks to everybody that's doing that. Like I'm amazed how many orders that is actually occurring in. So the first thing is it's a marketing piece for us. We want deals and money. That's no secret. I'm not on the show to give back. Everyone thinks I'm trying to give back. I don't care about giving back, at least in these ways, and this means. I'm here for deals and money. I want you to call me or text me with a deal, or if you got money to invest in my fund. It's that simple. Third thing is join the mastermind group. I mean, we make money on it. We don't make a ton of money on it. Be perfectly transparent. But here's what I know. The more of y'all come into the mastermind, the more that people end up investing, the more houses you get bought, the more deals that come across my desk. It all works. But one of the reasons we're writing these books is we're creating the foundation. This is what real estate investing as a business really looks like. And it's not Lambos and big houses and beach vacations. I mean, there's some of that in there. Of course, I keep beating up on folks with Lamborghinis, and I think I'm going to end up buying one next year. But anyway, so I'm going to be the guy. I'm going to be a caricature of myself at this point. Probably own a bar and a club next year, a Lambo, middle-aged single dude. Like, I'm just going to hit all those caricatures all at once. It's going to be hilarious. Anyway, that's beside the point. The other idea behind the book is we're going to build this community, the foundation. This is what real estate investing really looks like from people who are really doing it. I have never read a book like that. I haven't. For one reason, the people that do what we do don't write books about it. They just go out and do it. I don't know of a single person that's done this much stuff that then is going to lay out exactly how it all works. I mean, there's a couple of books out there that talk about people's experience with flipping a lot of houses or, doing whatever. But not one that really goes into our current book, Mr. Texas Real Estate Reserved, the book starts out like this. Okay, it's pre-COVID. Here's all the cool stuff that we were doing before COVID. And then the market changed in March because the whole world shut down. Effectively, it was a real estate crash. So we had to change a lot of things we were doing in COVID. And technically, we're still in it. I mean, we're still in the middle of coronavirus recovery. But the market changed again. This is how we recognize that market change. These are the things that we did. And we share that through a bunch of stories. I wasn't going to give you guys a bunch of technical analysis because then you just fall asleep. We're here at the end of the show. Figure out who you are first, folks. Like, that's the most important thing. Then you can figure out what you want. We'll talk more about this in a later show. I feel a book coming. There's enough of this. I feel like we got to write another book about it. Anyway, it's Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Rob and I will be on tomorrow, and we will see you then.